All right, so today I want to talk a little bit about branding, or at least how I think about branding. And I think this is a very foreign concept. Most of the people who become interested in ideas, right, are interested in ideas, and this idea of thinking about yourself like a business is just unusual and can sometimes even seem unserious or pandering. But the way that I see it is like you are in the business of selling ideas and explaining why your ideas are valuable to other people. And one aspect of that is brand. And you can think about it in a superficial way, which is like shiny photos on Instagram or something. But the way I think about it is about what's your value proposition and how is that conveyed. So the kind of starting point, like there's two main elements that I think are really key. So the first is one, a lot of people will talk about like your unique selling proposition, but the kind of formulation that I learned from a guy named Sam Ovens, who's a really smart business and marketing guy, is this idea of you have a positioning statement that takes the form of I help X achieve Y by means of Z. And so, for example, the way I'm thinking about what I'm doing is I help people who support liberty become more effective champions of liberty by teaching communication and persuasion. And so you want to think about like who are you trying to help and what outcome that they want to reach are you helping them achieve? So if it's not something that they want to reach, if it's like I'm helping them learn something that they don't want to learn, but I think is important to them, then you're kind of destined for failure. So you want to focus on a kind of aspiration or problem that your audience wants solved that you're going to help them solve. Then the second thing I believe in is you want to systematize your solution. And this doesn't mean turn it into some kind of like thoughtless mechanical process, but you want to have a core approach that can be studied and externalized and learned by people. And I first became really aware of this when I started learning marketing from guys named Dean Jackson and Joe Polish, and they had what they called their 6 profit activators. And when I went and kind of learned live with Dean, what I realized was like every time we would raise a problem, he would always go back to the 6 profit activators and use that to like guide our thinking through it. And so I realized, oh, this isn't just a gimmick. This is his actual process and how he takes a seemingly unique problem and tackles it and thinks about it. And therefore, now suddenly I'm empowered because, okay, I can learn to do the same thing. It's not just like Dean has amazing intuition about marketing, and so I need to ask Dean every question. He has a system, and I can learn that system. And so, what I've tried to do as a key part of my work is I've identified what I call the 6 persuasion skill sets. These are the 6 skill sets that if you master them, they're going to solve most of your persuasion problems. And so anytime we're encountering a challenge or a goal that we have in communication and persuasive communication, we can think about, okay, where is this failing on the persuasion skill set? If we're thinking about how to develop, it's which of the persuasion skill sets haven't we mastered? Then And so part of what happens when you have a system is that it strengthens your identity. People can, learn what you're about, and then they can actually master your material, and it disciplines you, right? Because it forces you to really translate your knowledge into something that's objectively valuable rather than just being a person who like has this kind of this set of knowledge that nobody else can get, like being a mystical oracle. So like one of my frustrations with somebody who I have a lot of positive views about, Jordan Peterson, is like he would give these analyses of biblical stories and myths and say this means X and this symbolizes Y. But he never tells you his methodology for doing that. You just basically have to say, yeah, that sounds plausible to me, or I guess you somehow know Jordan Peterson. But actually my reaction is, well, that just sounds made up and arbitrary. And so like you want to give people an empowering system. And then if you think about like an ultimate symbol of this, right, is like Ayn Rand gave us her whole entire like framework for thinking about every issue in the world, which is a philosophy, right? Like here's the methodology, here's the core pieces of the content that you need to understand the world and understand human life. And that's just such it's so empowering to people when they have an actual framework rather than just answers to particular questions. And then finally, the thing I'll say is that brand should not be a straitjacket. So what I really don't like are these people who present sort of a one-dimensional or two-dimensional phony image to the world. Like, you see this all the time in fitness, right? Like, if you're a fitness Instagram influencer, then apparently all you do is wake up at 4:30 in the morning, sweat and bleed, go for a run in the beach, and then, like, you know, walk around without a shirt on. And like, that is, you're not a real human that a person can connect with. And I think that harms you in the long run, building a relationship with an audience. But even more importantly, who the hell wants to live like that? Like, you as the influencer, you don't want to have to live up to some unrealistic image. You want your brand, if you will, to express who you genuinely are. And that includes that it's going to have things that aren't like fitting neatly into the brand. And like, this doesn't mean you have to share every aspect of your life, but it means you can present yourself as a whole person. And so, like, for instance, one thing that probably annoys like most of my Twitter followers is that, you know, at least 10% of my posts are about baseball, because I absolutely love baseball. And does that fit into my quote brand? Well, no, but in the sense is it's part of who I am, and it's something I want to talk about. And so, like, the bottom line is that you're not trying to live up to your brand. Brand is just a way of, how do I capture the way that I'm going to be helpful to people so that they have a reason to follow me, they know what to expect, and I can actually build relationships with them. But I'm building relationships, which means like I'm treating myself as a whole person. So that's the thoughts for today. Good luck.